This is TWiT.
No breath of fresh air. The ISS, turns out, it's been leaking we got all panicked when we had these other leaks, but it's been leaking at a lower level for years.
Yeah. Well, there was a report out just recently, I think about a week or two ago. We forgot to talk about it last week, but this what is it? The NASA Office of the Inspector General has cited this really super slow leak on the International Space Station as like one of its top safety risks. And
excuse me, but why did that come from the OIG instead of from NASA?
Well, NASA several years ago when they first, I think they brought it back up in February of this year. They said, hey, they've got this leak. It's been going on for a while. They thought they could manage it, but now it's increased. It's like at 2.4 pounds of air per day from a historic low of 0.2 pounds per day. So, I guess it's getting worse. And the fact that they haven't been able to staunch it has the Office of the Inspector General a bit concerned because it just keeps getting worse.
Do they know where it is?
Well, I believe they were saying that it was in the Russian segment. It's
always in the Russian segment.
But see what happened was back in February, Joel Montalbano, then the ISS program managers, was saying that the leak has increased, to this 2.4 pounds a day. 2 months later, the leak increased another 50%, 3.7 pounds per day, according to the Office of the Inspector General. So they can't. It's getting worse. And
you simply light Russian cigarette, watch smoke go towards hole, then stuff with bubble gum. So they don't like bubble gum because it's decadent.
So they've detected cracks and leaks in the Russian module that they're looking at, and it's been an issue that the aging space station, has been undergoing for quite some time. The space station, for people, I mean, these are the core modules since like 2000. That 98, even some of the earliest modules like launched up there. And so this has been an ongoing issue for many, many years, but it's, NASA wants to keep this going until 2030 before they bring it back to Earth. And you don't want your spaceship to leak air at all, let alone at an ever increasing rate, right? Because there's going to be leaks. There are leaks on ships. I didn't know that until recently. But
that's what bilge pumps are for. Yeah, exactly.
And they repressurize over time.
Of that. Yeah.
So this is the issue. The issue is that this new report, which came out September 26th from the OIG, says, hey, it's getting worse. It's getting a lot worse, a lot faster. So something needs to be done about it. And we've seen leaks in the past. Like we had the hole in the Soyuz spacecraft, right? That they just had to putty over.
I think piece of Russian technology.
That's right. And I remember there being an air leak in a window on the US segment too, if memory serves. And I could be wrong about that.
So it was like a gasket seal?
Yeah, like right along the seam or something. They were monitoring it. And so, but it was quite a long time ago that I'd heard anything about that. So I guess it's done and fixed. So huzzah, but this is just an issue where NASA has said they just have to keep working with Roscosmos to try to figure out the sources of this leak and how it's going to change, if at all, how they operate the space station.
Okay, hold on here. Hold on, NASA. Yeah, can I send you a jar of spackle that you can send over to the Russians to patch that? Okay, thanks. Oh, that's not very nice. Okay, wow, they hung up on me. Yeah, it would seem that you could kind of staunch that with almost any kind of sealant, but what the hell do I know?
Yeah.
Let's move on. I'm going to ignore the next story you have by executive fiat here because I thought this story about the Jupiter's red spot was really interesting. It's pulsing. It's pulsing.
Yeah,
it's alive.
This is like, by the way, the story Rod's skipping is the fact that there is a G4 class solar storm that spawned
we'll get to
auroras. So
I want to tell this one next.
But the scientists have used the Hubble Space Telescope. This is just from space.com, by the way. The other story also from space.com. But
Hubble lives on. Yeah,
exactly. They've been studying archival data of the Great Red Spot that they've been observing it since the 19th century astronomers have. But Hubble's observations, in particular, like the high res images that have shown that the red spot has been shrinking over the decades that Hubble's been up there. Right now it measures, it's like 9,000 plus miles across, although it used to be, it has been measured down to just 7,000 miles. So it's getting smaller. And they tracked all these images over time. And you can see it kind of, I don't know, you said pulsing, but they made it like sound like it's like quivering like jello. So it'll shrink and then it bounces back, and then it shrinks and then it bounces back over time. And they don't know like what the deal is with it, because right now it's called an anticyclone, this giant storm that it used to at one point be able to hold a few different Earths. I think right now it's just 2 Earths in it, and it's oblong. It's not a perfect sphere, and they think that over time this oscillation that they're seeing is going to work itself out as it gets smaller, and it will just circularize itself and be a much more stable storm. That's still many years in the future, but it's just a really strange behavior, and it's mesmerizing to watch these videos of the Great Red Spot, like, because they stack them all up, and you can just see it quibbling about as it's trying to churn on the giant planet. And it's just a really weird fact. They have this time lapse you can see, and you see it expand and shrink along its kind of long axis, I think is what the semi-major axis is. And it's just really strange. Just for strange motions on Jupiter.
Pulsing red spots. Sounds like a problem for some topical cream.
Yeah, I would say keep your health problems to yourself, Rod. This is a family podcast.
Fine. You ought to see what's in my spam folder. They keep asking me about, is your body leaking, which I guess they know how old I am. I don't need to even think about that. All right, go ahead and close with the aurora. I know you're excited about that in the solar storm. By the way, how much longer can it possibly be before the sun just lashes out and erases all life on the sunlit side of the planet? I mean, it feels like we're having kind of a weird year here, you know?
By the way, I think that's the plot of the Nicolas Cage movie Knowing, by the way.
Okay, I thought it was something else, but yeah.
Maybe it was a gamma ray burst? Could it have been that? I don't know.
Might have been. I don't remember.
Anyway, that's a weird movie, but it does hold up. It gets better with age, I think, as does Nick Cage, to be honest. But anyway,
Mr. Non-emotion, go ahead.
Yeah, we had the sun's been popping off, man. We talked a little bit about it, I think last week or in a recent episode, but NOAA, their space weather prediction group this week had an ad hoc press conference, and they issued a very rare G4 solar storm warning, only the second that they've done since 2005. And the whole cause of it was an X2 solar flare, I think on the 8th of October, that was barreling towards Earth. It was the second fastest CME of the solar cycle, this that we're in right now. And it just hit the atmosphere overnight, the magnetosphere, pardon me, and it triggered global auroras that were forecast to be as low as Alabama. And so people in California, much lower than the Arctic Circle that it normally sets. In fact, one of my writers was on an aurora hunting trip, Daisy de Bridgevik, in Norway, and she was able to catch some of it before the clouds came in. And here in New Jersey, we got too much light pollution, so we weren't able to see too much. And in fact, we couldn't even hang out in one of the darkest parts in my neighborhood because the sheriff showed up and told everyone to go home because the park was closed. And it's like, man, there's this G4 geomagnetic storm. I don't want to miss it. And yet, what are you going to do? You know, but we have
argue with the cops. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I'm not going to fight the sheriff, because when you fight the law wins. Right. So, but we got amazing photos from around the world, including some of our own team members, and it's just a reminder that there are times you don't have to go all the way to the Arctic to do it. You just need a really dark sky during these geomagnetic storms. So just keep watching it. Everyone I talked to at this park was using the same Aurora app, and it's very easy to find, and it shows you where stuff is. So I didn't see a lot of power grid disruptions. That was a concern by NOAA, especially in North Carolina and Florida, which have power systems that have been greatly affected by the recent hurricanes there. they issued warnings to them to safeguard all of that. And the same was true for communication satellites, radio communications. I mean, they were all affected or had the potential to be. Not a lot of threats, though, to the astronauts in space, which is good. So,
Boy, Florida sure doesn't need any more problems, huh?
yeah. I mean, that the Hurricane Milton in particular has already delayed NASA's Europa Clipper, which we've been talking about in the past.
Right.
We're also waiting to hear on a few other missions. The Crew 8 return to Earth because they were going to splash down off the coast of Florida. So hopefully we'll get some more forward information on that maybe shortly after we wrap the podcast today.
Yeah, Lori Leshin, who's the new director at JPL, has been posting multiple updates per day of basically the view of KSC from her hotel.
Yeah, still close.
Okay, there's this much wind. The rocket's okay. The instruments are okay, but you know we're holding on launch. We'll let you know. So it's cool to have. You know, we're used to social media from NASA news outlets to some extent, not a lot, but to have the actual director of a field center tweeting live updates for stuff it's a whole new era.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip, be sure to check out This Week in Space. You can find us on your favorite podcast app or see the link in the description below. See you there.